Sir, both live is on, sir.
Yes, yes.
There are 36 participants. Shall we start, or shall we wait another 10 minutes?
No, it's 5. The speaker is with us, so I think we shall straight away start the meeting. People will join.
Sir, start chesesi.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening, good evening. How are you?
Hello.
Fine, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes. I think there are 40 participants now. Chairman was suggesting we can wait for another 5 minutes if people are already in or okay. Yes, sir, Garu, your voice is not audible. Who is saying that? Ganduri Satyam. Ganduri Satyam says, yes, sir, Garu, your voice is not. Am I audible for everyone?
Yes, sir. You are audible. Our chairman, sir, will maybe he has some unstable connection. He will reconnect, sir.
Yeah. Kerala instability is only after 7 o'clock, sir.
Sir,
if you are saying chairman is already unstable at 5 o'clock, then you have overtaken us.
Sir, sir, I should tell to the participants regarding German, sir. Actually, 2 years back, 1 year back, we had a orientation meeting at Cochin, which was hosted by Cochin branch, and I should tell you, Kerala is God's own country, and German sir is known for his hospitality. German judge is known for his hospitality.
Thank you, thank you.
And I should tell you, he has engaged all the committee members in such a fashion that we will remember it for years to come. That I should tell. This is a small introduction, informal introduction before the formal introduction.
So thank you, Ravkishar Garu, for the excellent introduction. Before prior introduction, a small announcement from my side regarding CA Day activities. Friends, Vijayawada branch of SIRCF ICI, we are planning Navaratnas for the CA days. That is 10-kilometer walk for the members from starting from tomorrow onwards, 30th, 5 days, 2 kilometers each. For the student, it is 20-kilometer run or jog or walk, whatever the case may be. It is 4 kilometers per day. So you have to download a Starwa like app, and basing on that app, everything will be recorded. And certificate of appreciations will be given to the members who are participated in the walk and run also. And also, we are also planning for the tree plantation. Every members are requested to plant a tree, because the tree is a thing. It is absorbing all the carbon dioxide and delivering the oxygen, which is very, very essential to our this thing. Our parents and grandparents have planted the trees. Now that we are enjoying that fruits, it is our duty to plant the trees. So tree plantation is the another Ratna in our CA Day activities. We are also planning for the blood donation camp starting from tomorrow onwards. That is 26th to 30th. I request, it is planned in the Lions Blood Bank. So each and every member or a student can go to, by calling Lions Blood Bank, they can go to their place and then give the blood within 10 minutes, they will dispose. We have made that all those arrangements. And likewise, we're also planning a Zoom meeting. And as you know that COVID, because of the COVID and all these things, congregations for more than 10 members are not allowed. So this time flag hoisting has been restricted to the only management committee members, and flag hoisting will be done, but the same will be telecasted in the Zoom meeting. And again, we are just honoring the members who are completed 25 years of the service, and the same is will be telecasted in the Zoom meeting by 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Likewise, we have planned some entertainment and CA quiz also in this thing. So friends, these are all the, apart from the activities that are going to be conducted by the ICAI, in the evening, 3:30 to 8 o'clock, evening 29th, 30th, and 1st, ICAI is conducting a very good programs. I request all the members to participate in both the things, in the branch activities as well as the ICAI activities also. And the details will be explained in the time to come. And now we are just formally starting this today's session. I welcome you all for this today's virtual CPE meet on standards on auditing for the year 2019-20 mainly. So I welcome our past chairman SARC Joman K. Jaz sir to our meeting. Jaz sir is not new to us, and he's our past chairman and also familiar with most of the persons from the Vijayawada branch. Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation and gracing the meeting. I request, friends, as you all know that coming to the topic, to ensure that information provided in the financial statements are of the high quality and also acceptable worldwide, the council that ASP, Accounting and Assuring Standards Board of ICA has formulated some few standards. These are all in sync with the international standards issued by the IA, International Auditing and Assurance Board. The standards issued by the AASB are of two types, standards of quality control and also standards on auditing. That is the main topic that we are going to discuss today. And starting from the basic principles governing of the audit from SA 200 to audit documentation, very, very important things, consideration of laws and regulations in audit of the financial statements, planning of the audit of financial statements, audit of the materiality, audit evidence, audit sampling, related parties, using the work of the another auditor's report on the financial statements are some of the very, very important standards on auditing. Joman sir will take us a tour on the standards on auditing, definitely. Before he start the things, it's a formal introduction from our SICASA chairman, Ravi Kishore sir, Joman K. Jaz sir. Over to Ravi Kishore.
Thank you very much, sir, Chairman sir, for the opportunity. And it's my privilege to introduce our past SIRC chairman. He is qualified in 1992 and he did his articleship in Chennai. He has 28 years of diversified practice experience. He is founder and chief executive partner of Messrs. JVR and Associates, an 8-partner firm with offices at Kochi, Trivandrum, and an associate office in Dubai. He specializes in corporate advisory services and management consultancy. He has done more than 800 presentations across India and in West Asia. He is a regular paper presenter and speaker at ICAI's CPE programs on accounting standards, corporate audits, standards on auditing, Ind AS, etc. He is serving ICAI as a peer review trainer. He contributed articles in the ICAI newsletters. He served as a member AASB during 2005-2006. He is faculty for auditing at ICAI Ernakulam for the past 18 years. He is also a visiting faculty at many B schools, business schools and management institutes. And he lectures at ICAI Dubai. He has conducted training programs for Income Tax Department and Ministry of Corporate Affairs. He has done training programs on IGAAPs and IFRS for many renowned corporates, including BPCL. He is an honorary treasurer of Kerala Management Association, and he is on advisory board St. Teresa's College, Ernakulam. He is past president Rotary Club of Cochin Central and member of PHF Society, and also a organization No One Starves, a free noon meal program and a free tailoring institute for underprivileged women. And this institute got the district best award also. He was honorary treasurer of Regional Sports Center, Kochi. And he is son of late G. Thomas, who is a cost accountant, and his mother is Professor Maria Kuti George. He is happily married to Bindu, who is a postgraduate and a rank holder She opted to be a homemaker. He is blessed with 2 kids. Leah is doing her CA and BCom at Bangalore, and Ryan, 10th standard student. Sir, it is over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the very detailed, nice introduction, Devi Kishore sir. A very dynamic, committed, focused, energetic chairman, Srinivas Rao sir, who is inviting me the second time in the recent times, in COVID times, I can say, for a session at Vijayawada. First one, we had a talk on to the business community also in Vijayawada. Extremely happy to be there. I think we have 70 participants as of now. Let me tell you, a topic like standards and auditing, having that kind of an attendance, the full credit goes to the organizing capability of the chairman and the managing committee members. Please accept my compliments. Extremely happy that you have done a 3-day program, 3 days in a row. And today being the last day, we are discussing standards and auditing. Yeah, I'm sure that you would have recently heard from our Central Council members in Andhra Pradesh, whether it is Prasanna or whether it is our Sharmaji, whoever you're interacting, MPV, all of them are now putting a lot of trust on standards and auditing. I think belatedly, they have found that the compliance with standards and auditing, essays as they are now called, we used to call them auditing standards. We will dwell upon the history a little bit and then see the details of each standard. Chairman has rightly laid down very in a focused fashion the backdrop, and he has also highlighted the importance of some of the standards like planning, documentation, basic principles. Some changes have happened in the recent past. So the topic for today's session, this session is captioned as Standards and Auditing, an update for 1920 audits. So it's very important that before we do this, start the session, we make a very, very strong resolve that I will improve my audit program or audit systems and comply with standards to the extent possible. With that introduction, once again, thanking the organizers for this opportunity for the Zoom meeting. Last year as chairman, I have come to Vijayawada. I could meet some of you. When Nagavelli ma'am was the chairperson, we had a sub-regional conference, but I had to cut short because there are some flight problems and then I could not stay much time in Vijayawada. Post-COVID, it will be my pleasure anytime to come to Vijayawada and interact with you on topics which are of great professional relevance. With this, let me share that PPT share screen. Please give me a minute. Chairman sir, is it visible?
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yes. So this is the topic, as we have mentioned, standards and auditing, and quality control and auditing and update. Now, quickly, some basics, because it's always better to set the basics right, for the simple reason that some of us have deviated from the good practices, because one reason is the time factor, lot of work, lot of professional engagement, so not being able to focus on audits as we used to do. Why do we do an audit is very important. Is that what is an audit? Let's define an independent examination. Now, independent is very important. I'm touching upon some of the basics, elementary aspects, because audit independence today, we are having a lot of problems. Corporate failures in our country, and also the audit failures also has happened, whether it is IL&FS, whether it is an Yes Bank, a lot of stories which are very unfortunate. Big and small firms, many of them are found fault with by the MCA. And today we also have the NFRA, section 132 is notified, National Financial Reporting Authority. I'll come to that a little later. So audit is an independent examination of financial information to express an opinion on the financial statements. This opinion helps to determine whether these financial information, balance sheet, P&L, today cash flow statements are also part of general purpose financial statements. Section 2, subsection 40 of the Companies Act requires that every company, other than a small company, a startup, a dormant company, and OPC, except these 4 categories of companies, every company has to prepare cash flow statements. So all these information given by balance sheet, P&L, and cash flow are give a true and fair view. And this opinion of the auditor is relied upon by a large amount of regulators, all stakeholders. It is a government, it is a banking system, it is a various stakeholders who deal with the companies, investors who look at the historical financial information before we look at the valuation, which is based on futuristic projections. All that is very important. Let us all, place a lot of respect to the profession when Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that your signature is much more valuable than mine, the Prime Minister's signature. This means that when we are signing something that is relied upon by somebody, it is like opining about a person. Some boy or girl who did articles with us, if there is a marriage proposal, for example, and if you give a wrong opinion, maybe we are playing around with their lives, a wrong person being referred. It is very, very dangerous, and therefore this is a very onerous responsibility. A fiduciary, we act in a fiduciary capacity to not only to the shareholders, to the entire stakeholders. It is the government borrowers I mentioned earlier. So this is what an audit is. And why do we audit is for the same reason, since this is being relied upon, the financial information prepared by the management of corporates and as well as non-corporate, some of them large ones. I know in Andhra Pradesh, we have large number of non-corporate entities. I used to have I have a client here who is dealing with one of chili procuring firm from Gundur. So huge firms are there. There also these audit considerations are very important, though it is not as well defined in a framework that in the Companies Act. So what we have seen, why is because this being the case, the financial statement should be reliable, comparable. So the balance sheet and the P&L prepared by the management is then subjected to a detailed review, an audit, an in-depth analysis by an external independent professional. This is what it is. I'm touching upon basics I mentioned earlier. And how do we do an audit? Is it just preparing financial statements? Is it just copying an auditor's report from the previous year? It is not that. An audit has to be done, as the chairman rightly indicated. Very important that the audits have to be done. There is a uniform code of literature prepared by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. It's ARM, Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, on which I was fortunate to serve as a member in 2005-06. When Manoharan sir became the vice president of the institute, he nominated me to the board, and I attended all the meetings, all the 12 meetings, 11 in Delhi and 1 in Mumbai. I also had the great pleasure of interacting with Graham Ward, the IFAC president in 2005-06 in Mumbai. So here it's very important, AISB doing yeoman work, lot of involved work by people sitting there in Delhi 2-3 days continuously, working late into the evenings, formulating standards, formulating literature, guiding the members of the board. So how to do an audit is well mentioned in the standards on auditing. This is the backdrop. And let me touch upon some of the basic audit processes, because in a hurry, sometimes for whatever reason, quality is taking a beating because many of these standards or practices which we used to have has taken a backseat. Even if we are doing the audit for second year, particularly in a case where audit has changed from one auditor to somebody else it's come to us, the checking of opening balance is starting. It's very important. Of course, getting the appointment right. If it's a company complying with the requirements of 139, an auditor cannot be removed before 5 years. Now the auditor's term in the case of a company is a period of 5 years. He cannot be removed. He can be removed only with the permission of the central government. We have a lot of disciplinary cases where members hurriedly took up audits without taking note of the provisions of section 140 and all that. And therefore, you can have a lot of problems. A company can have also a lot of problems. So apart from all that, coming to audit process, opening balance checking is very important. Internal control evaluation, larger audits, is it that we are going to do only substantive procedures? Internal control, what are the controls you have? How frequent do you reconcile bank accounts? Do you physically verify stock? Do you do age-wise analysis of receivables? What are the controls on transactions? Remote locations? How good is your technology? Or how safe is your technology, data security and concerns like that, possibilities of manipulation. And after we evaluate, even in the course of a statutory audit, we share those findings, communicate those findings with those charged with governance. The abbreviation is TCWG. And then we do vouching. Are we doing it now? Ask yourself, let us do some introspection also. Ledger analysis, ledger accounts. I would like to recall my dear friend Ganesh Balakrishnan, who is a senior partner at Deloitte in Hyderabad. Last year in Chennai, he said, Joe, I think there is a lot of requirement. There's a fresh need to reinvent some of the good practices our seniors, our super seniors followed. So documentation part of it, ledger analysis, verification of assets and liabilities. Today, let me share a very fresh, just 1 hour back this happened. A friend of mine who is a Rotarian called up and said his company is audited by Ernst & Young, of course, SR Batley Boy. And they say they would like to have a stock verification of the Kochi factory done, because it could not be done on 31st March. So we are now kind of being engaged for doing a verification now, and then relating it back to the 31st March stock and doing a reconciliation, which is for the comfort of course, for true and fair, very important for the comfort of the statutory auditor who doesn't sit in Cochin. And the kind of documentation it requires to be saluted. Kind of documentation, the process they are putting through. And we are also insisting on fixing up the fees, getting a proper communication from based on the scope defined by the principal auditor. We are now being engaged as an external expert. So we need an appointment letter from the company. Though he's a friend in Rotary, of course, we need to have a proper fees agreed upon. All those things, the deliverables, the time factor is very important. So all that is being discussed. So this kind of stock verification, in fact, SA 501, standards on auditing 501, audit evidence, additional consideration for specific items, physical verification is giving a lot of amplified thrust. Many of the balance sheets signed by chartered accountants carry non-existent, obsolete stock which has no value, which naturally vitiates true and fair, goes without saying. Am I audible? Am I going okay, Chairman, sir?
Perfectly okay, sir. Perfectly okay, sir.
Yes. Continuing with the process, comparison of financial statements with books of accounts. Of course, many of our clients are not able to prepare financial statements in compliance with the Schedule 3 format, not Schedule 6 anymore. We lived Schedule 6 for a long time. Now it is Schedule 3. And the final trial balance, the good practice of obtaining a final trial balance properly signed by the finance manager or director of finance has to be insisted upon. Accounting standard compliance, there are so many standards, accounting standards. Changes have happened in 2016. A huge amount of changes have happened. Standard on depreciation has been merged with the accounting for fixed assets, which is now renamed as property, plant and equipment. The dividend, the proposed dividend will take an accounting hit, not in the year it is declared for, only when it is paid and declared and paid in the subsequent year. So 1920 dividend will not be accounted in 1920. No need for corporate dividend tax provision also. That will be accounted only in 2021 financial year, when in the AGM it is declared and paid. A lot of changes have happened. AS compliance one has to ensure, because there is no true and fair without accounting standard. On top of that, in the main body of the auditor's report under 143, the auditor is expected to report whether financial statements comply with accounting standards referred to in 133 of the Companies Act. Auditor's report is under 143. So again, going back to the Companies Act, Chapter 9 of the Companies Act 2013, many of us, though we are doing company audits, have not read or understood the Companies Act 2013 properly. Chapter 9 deals with accounts. Chapter 10, that is section 128 to 139, sorry, 128 to 138. Chapter 10 deals with audit and auditors. That is 139 to 148. So those are the important chapters as far as accounts and audits are concerned. Accounting standard, Schedule 3 compliance, information for notes. Analytical review. Ratio analysis, trend analysis. We may have same few clients from the same industry. And today, analytical review will also evaluate the economic outlook, how the economy is going to perform. When IMF has today said that Indian economy would shrink by 5% or so. Global economy will shrink by 5%. So analytical review is industry comparison, ratio analysis, and all those things. This may sound very theoretical, but my dear colleagues, these are things which we should do, we must do to ensure that the audit is done properly. Because when we are, in case we are drawn up for a disciplinary case proceedings, either by the DC of the institute or tomorrow by NFRA, the very simple impersonal question is, have you done the audit properly? How do we substantiate that? Just an answer saying that, yes, sir, I have done my best will not suffice. Have you planned it properly? Have you documented properly? Have you collected sufficient appropriate evidence? All those things, n number of questions. All those will unfold as we go by in the presentation. Caro points, informed reporting we have to do. Caro cannot be a copy paste from the previous year. Lot of new points, but I hope you know that Caro 2020 has not been given effect. Caro, we continue with Caro 2016. So last year's format could be used, but essentially customized, changed and added or deleted for customized for this year 1920. So Caro 2016 only, Caro 2020, though they had this thing, that is deferred by 1 year. And in the wake of COVID, maybe it'll go for about 1 more year. This is the audit process, my dear friend. So going back into the history and evaluation. Request the host to unmute everyone other than me. If somebody has to talk, then we'll have an interaction. We're hearing some background noise. It's not for my sake, for the clarity, audio clarity for everyone. So Auditing Practices Committee was set up in 1982 and it was issuing standards and auditing practices, SAPs, Statements and Standards and Auditing Practices, SAPs. Renamed, as the chairman said, in 2002 as Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, in line with the international practices, and after that we call them AAS, Auditing and Assurance Standards. But with all these, Institute has been acting very proactively, looking around the world and seeing what is the best practices across the globe. And a new preface was issued in 2008, in which there is a new classification. Chairman again did mention, I was happy that he gave a very good introduction. Standards on quality control and engagement standards. This is a broad classification. In SQCs, they have issued only one SQC, SQC 1, Standard on Quality Control 1. Sir, the Hirlal Jain sir is not muted. And then we have engagement standards. We have engagement.
I'll mute it, sir. You all mute it, everybody.
Yeah. Engagement standards are the further classified.
Sir, you have to unmute, sir.
Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is okay, sir.
Engagement standards are further divided into SA, standards on auditing, standards on review engagements, SRS. That is for the limited review we do for listed companies quarterly. And if you have debt securities listed, it is half-yearly limited review. Standards on assurance engagement, certifications, assurance other than audit, certifications and all that. And lastly, standards on related services. SRS, we need a special mention. SAE also, we need special mention that we do towards the end. This is the broad categorization of standards under the new preface issued under 2008, and that is standard on quality control. We are now moving to engagement standards, specifically standard 1 by 1. But then before that, SQC 1 is quality control. I'm sure that most of us would have seen when you buy a electronic component or something like emergency lamp, you will see a round sticker somewhere behind that. It's called QC passed. So after the production and everything is done, before it is packed, there's a QC process, quality control process. And QC pass means that it has been tested and okayed to be commercially made available or sold in commercially. Will our balance sheets, will the financial statements audited by us, can we have a sticker there if it is independently evaluated? QC passed. That is a test which we have to do. That is what peer reviewers would do. But peer review today, I'm a peer review trainer. Peer review today is, many of us are passing peer review because unfortunately to say, many of the peer reviewers are not fully equipped. I asked the peer reviewers, will your firm pass the test of peer review? Then yes, you can be an effective peer reviewer, otherwise not. So SQC is very simple. SQC 1 says that every audit should be done in accordance with accepted practice, which is standards on auditing. Two things are primarily. One is processes. How good is your audit processes? Have they attained the required level of maturity? Second is, who is doing the audit? Who is the engagement partner? Who is the team? Are they trained? Are they instructed? Are they supervised? Are they made to report on the work which they've done? Are they corrected? This is a huge responsibility on us. Today, students, new generation students are, as many of them, do not have the kind of focus some of us had in the past. We have brilliant students, but there are some of them who are a little passive about it. So keeping them instructed, reporting protocol, setting them, not letting them loose is very, very important. So SQC1 is primarily about processes, good audit processes, and the processes and the people, the team, the HR content, the brains that will do the audit. That is the important aspect. So with that, I will move on to the engagement standards. Before that, this big question is, why should we comply with standards? To expedite audits effectively in accordance with GAPs, generally accepted auditing practices, not accounting practices. GAPs are also, in lighter vein, people say GAPs stand for games accountants always play. Many of the accountants are doing circus with gimmicks and circus with accounts. So some people, somebody sarcastically, I read one article in Economic Times, if I remember correctly, the caption was GAPs, and he expanded it as games accountants always play. We should not belong to that category of game playing accountants. To utilize resources effectively, resources are the faculties which we bring to the audit, the time factor, the people, all those things. Because today, when you quote for an audit, there is no audit is devoid of economic considerations. So utilize the resources effectively. One, to have focus. Two, to have economy of execution, efficiency of execution, the turnover factor of it. Not a hurry like many of us do for this bank audit. I always have had told the bankers that your timelines are not binding on us. You cannot ask us to do the complete of a bank with 500 crore branch with a 500 crore advance in 3 days or 4 days. We will take our own time. And then you get a call from the regional office saying that we have pressures. But then unless we do a proper verification. Today, not making an official statement, the bad loan, that 12 lakh crores of bad loans in the Indian economy, officially. People say that with the COVID outbreak, it can even double 24 lakhs crores of 24 trillion of bad loans in the Indian banking system, which means that 20 to 22% of the economy is stressed. And we cannot contribute to that. Leniency has to be there in interpretation, subsequent developments, but I'm saying that very, very clearly, bank audits should not be taken very lightly. So utilizing resources effectively, guide, direct, supervise assistance properly, ensuring quality control, disproving charges of negligence. Our country has not become very litigative as of now. But today with NFRA, a lot of issues, the institute is promoting, institute is advising rather, to take professional indemnity insurance. Not because we are habitual wrongdoers, but we are human beings. We may sometimes slip, we may trust, we may over-trust, over-rely on statements, documents, explanations, credibility of people, which can shake up the whole system. So therefore, that's required. To face and pass peer review. Unless we comply with standards, we will not pass the examination, peer review. And peer review, they call, once you get a peer review certificate, it's a hallmark of excellence. Hallmark is what they use for gold grading. I'm sure Andhra members in Andhra would know. Kerala and Andhra have a lot of love for gold. Many of the Kerala operators like Malabar Gold, Joey, all of them are in Kalyan, are all in different cities of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. When I travel, I've seen. So this is very important. So have the hallmark of excellence, meaning that our processes are good. Our processes will, make sure that the audit is done properly and the opinion expressed is a reliable opinion. And on top of all this, what is most important today is auditing standards are not dictums of the institute on its members anymore. It is a requirement of the Companies Act. It's a requirement of the Companies Act. Just give me a minute. I think I've gone full screen. I'll come back. Yeah. 143(9) of the Companies Act says the chapter 143 is this as powers and duties of auditors and auditing standards. The caption of the section itself, powers and duties of auditors and auditing standards. Every auditor shall comply with auditing standards. It's a requirement of the Companies Act. So if we fail to comply, the MCA can take action. MCAs today, NFRA can take action. Without recourse, the institute disciplinary mechanism. They have a direct recourse. NFRA is gaining a strong footing. in our country. Therefore, one has to be extremely careful. These reasons are very, very important. And look at what the MGS secretary once said. He is Mr. Injiti Srinivas. I think he is from Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. I don't know. We do not expect the auditors to find a needle in the haystack, but they must see the elephant in the room. I hope the message is clear. It's a bit of a shame for the profession that a person holding official post is made to say this, maybe because based on some facts he has seen. But majority of us are doing audits in an upright fashion. But in the research space, when large corporate failures, frauds happen, the big question is, what were the auditors doing? When Yes Bank kind of collapsed and then got a fresh lease of life, a bailout, lot of questions. What was RBI doing, the regulator doing? What were the auditors doing? Who is taking action against them? Regulators and the auditors, when they fail, corporates, fraudsters will find their way. And what happened to the depositors? When will their money come back? In spite of thousands of crores being pumped in there, people have taken loans, may not repay, but then deposits you cannot withdraw. So all these things can happen. So therefore, I'm just again quoting recent examples. So we cannot afford, the profession, we individually and the profession collectively cannot afford to have comments like this going forward. With that, let me move on to some of the practice-based standards. SA 200, Chairman did mention basic principles governing an audit, but that has been renamed in 2008. The standard is now captioned as overall objectives of the independent auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with essays. This is the takeoff standard. This is the runway, I would say, when we take off to comply with various other standards. This is the runway. It's a long time since we saw airports. Last year, I was airport hopping, Vijayawada, in smaller airports, Belgaum, Salem, not Salem, Madurai, all these places other than the big airport. So the runway is where, this is where a guiding force, SA 200, talks about basic principles. Chairman rightly said, integrity, independence, confidentiality of information, all those things. But what is most important here, in 2008, they have belatedly used this term, professional skepticism. I repeat, professional skepticism. What is that? Plus, before explaining that, let me also say, there are 6 publications of the Institute post-COVID, COVID-related publications. We will touch upon that, time permits. There it says that in the COVID situation, in the difficult situation or the very adverse, unfavorable situation that businesses have been put through, the concept of professional skepticism stands amplified. So here, professional skepticism is being a little skeptical. Sarji, we agree, we trust you, but we would still like to verify. It also means that we do not take situations for granted, explanations for granted, people for granted. He is a senior general manager of the company with 20 years of experience in the company. He is very close to the managing director. He is a distant relative of the management. No. The auditor is a watchdog only, not a bloodhound. I think gone are the days. Keep barking is not enough. The thief is still entering, you smell difficulties, then yes, you have to blow the horn. Whistle, blow the whistle. That is professional skepticism. So SA 200 is about the basic principles and also saying that an audit should be done in compliance with the standards. This is the takeoff standards. SA 210 is agreeing on the terms of engagement. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have the practice of getting a letter of engagement duly signed before starting an audit? We call it LOE in our office. I'm striking a personal code here. Letter of engagement in our office. We do not start any audit without getting an appointment letter. If it's a board appointment, a board resolution. If it's a general meeting, a general meeting resolution. If it's a trust by the governing council, a resolution of that. A true copy of the resolution on the official stationery of that entity, whether it's a company, trust, society, partnership, and whatever, and a letter of engagement. But the practice, unfortunately, is when somebody talks about an audit, please do the audit. We either go or we send our people. But essentially, SA 210 says that the terms of engagement has to be agreed upon. Most of it under the Companies Act, are determined by the provisions of the statute itself. 143 says Companies Act, what the auditor should do. Now, just 15 minutes back, I told you about an assignment where when the multinational firm approached us, they have given the scope of the work very clearly defined in almost a little more than one page, close by close. What is the scope of it? How do we discharge that? And what are our responsibilities? So based on that, we will insist on appointment letter from the company, friendship apart, Rotary apart, spending evenings together apart, seniority apart. So this is very important, SA 210. SA 220 is an extension of SQC1. We have a quality control standard. I think eventually this will go off from SA and then get merged with SQCs, SQC 2, 3, like that once it comes. Quality control for audit work. So how do we bring quality into an audit is, one, a vision statement, a mission statement or vision statement, saying that we'll do audits properly. We'll not bring a hurry or a rush into an audit. We'll ask for all relevant information only after we get this. Client may have a number of reasons. Sir, I did a similar presentation in Ernakulam. A senior member of the branch asked me, Jovana, that's all fine. What do we do with clients who come on September 28th evening and asking us to do the audit? I said, don't do it. Don't do it. We don't do that. We ask for a minimum 15 days time. This I'm practicing. I'm not bluffing. I'm not boasting too much about myself. But we have to put a stop somewhere. The client thinks that he can call you anytime. 6 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 at night. He may be having a drink at his club. In my office, again, I'm telling you, it is 5:30 students are checked out. All my students are gone now. I'm sitting in my office now. 6 o'clock, it's a lights off. Partners also sit here only for casual talk and winding up. No work after 6. No client has left us for that reason. So this quality control can happen only when we are focused and we have a good system in place. Hurry and short notice work and all that should be stopped. Everyone has to start doing this. And the excuse which I hear, whether in Chennai or Bangalore, is that, sir, if we insist on that, he'll go to somebody else. That will change someday. And I think many of us here, beginners may have a problem, but many of us here today can afford to miss out on 1 or 2 clients, but they will not go. Once you are putting it in a convincing fashion, yes, they will have to give us time to do the audit. Halabulla is not there, goof-up is not there. We have to be very clear. Quality control, very important. So that mindset, people, processes, I did mention. SA 230 is about audit documentation. This is a revised standard. Before it, the pre-revised standard used to talk about a permanent file and a current file. Documents which are of enduring importance, lasting importance, are to be put in the permanent file. We call it main file in our office, main file. Thicker box file. But then today things are changing. Today working notes file, you may not have working notes file in hard copy. Paper file may not be there. When you ask a student about to discuss the ledger scrutiny or notes on vouching, she might come up with the laptop and say that, sir, I put it in the client folder. I mailed it across to you. It's in my Excel sheet. So the chart of accounts have been taken in the Excel, and not by the side of it, notes have been taken. Fair enough. Today we have to, one of the COVID lessons is that every one of us, whether we sit in Vijayawada or Cochin, have to leverage substantially more on technology. How many of us really wanted, when that sudden closure or lockdown came in, how many of us really wanted to have access to the client records on a working day? Do we have a cloud server? Do we have a program where we can access data without compromising on data security? Client data is very sensitive. We cannot share it like that with the students, people across. So say data security protocols, and work from home has today become the new order. Large corporates, India's largest IT company, TCS, which has 450,000 employees, almost 500,000 employees, in the next 4 years are planning to have only 25% work from office, 75% will work from home. That's a new dynamics. There are a lot of social issues, mental health issues, domestic issues, violence issues with all that. But then People have got used to it, and there's a huge saving on real estate. Connectivity is the only thing. If you are well connected, yes, stably connected, then yes, you can do most of the work sitting at home. So documentation, very important today, either electronic documentation or physical documentation. All that, even do we have a memorandum of association? Do we have resolutions? Do we have confirmations? Do we have all the data required, the AG analysis of debtors, a final stock statement signed by the raw material, finished goods, work in progress, separately signed by somebody responsible? Are we getting circularization done in the sense that the confirmations done? Or debtors and creditors are taken for granted? All these things are very, very important. So documentation is key, and the crux of the standard is your documentation should be sufficient to explain that you have done the audits in accordance with essays. Moving on, 240 is about fraud. See, when you do an audit, what happens is you may have the routine aspects found out, and today under 143(12) of the Companies Act, there's a separate reporting requirement on fraud. So if you smell the rat, if you find that there's something very suspicious, you should go in depth to analyze and find out whether it's actually there. You should either confirm your doubt that there's a fraud, or that you should dispel your fear. You got explanations. Then it may become a key audit matter item. I'll come to that a little later. It may become a key audit matter item that we'll discuss. 250 is auditor's responsibility relating to laws and regulations. The key question is, in expressing opinion on the financial statements under the Companies Act or doing in an audit, is the auditor expected to ensure compliance with all the laws and regulations that are applicable to the company? The answer is no, but it is partially yes, to the extent that that kind of a non-compliance has got an impact on the accounting and audit function. Yes, he has to see. And SA 501, audit evidence, additional consideration for specific items, very clearly discusses about making sure that all the legal disputes are disclosed to the auditor, discussed with the auditor, and the financial impact of that is properly disclosed, either provided for in the P&L or in the balance sheet, or as a note in the contingent liability. It's very, very important. That is 250. And 260 I've already mentioned in audit basics. Communicating audit findings with those charged with governance. That's a healthy practice. We call it audit observations. It is not an internal audit. It's a first-time statutory audit. This time we have two corporates which have come to new to us. Newly been, one was under an audit rotation. The other one, the auditor resigned. In fact, the management was not happy with him. So they told him that we would like to, and he resigned because he was sure that the relations had become a little bitter. So he resigned, and only after getting his consent, everything we took over. And then there are shocking findings in terms of controls lacking, reporting protocols lacking, documentation lacking, and with all that, we are getting that corrected in the process. We may go for an emphasis of matter in the auditor's report, but then all this we are communicating in writing. Email we will send, and today, though it may sound old-fashioned, we are giving hard copies to the board of directors, addressed to the board of directors, and make sure that the board gets it. Sometimes what happens, many of you are here in this meeting, may be very senior to me, and I have heard that some people, not now, I'm reasonably old and senior now. Few years back when I said I have 20 years of experience and I'm 70 years old, they said that, Jomon, your age is my experience. I salute the experience of the seniors, which has helped our journey substantially easier. You have shown us a path, but then today things are changing, technology, methodologies are changing. Seniors are also required to catch up with or bring young blood into the process of the office, add new partners, good quality people, mentor them. As seniors, you have a lot of things, your blessings, your mentoring, your good directions, all that's very, very important. So, and we give this audit observations, and we do insist on a reply from the management. And if there are some key aspects which you are communicating with them and which they are explained, then that will become a key audit matter, as in SA 701. Chairman sir, do we break for some questions, or is it a long monologue? Is it okay? How do we plan? I can take some.
After 6:30, we'll break for another 10 minutes, sir. We'll ask the participants to post the questions in the chat box, so that another half an hour, you please go ahead, sir. And
Yeah, I thought I was planning to wind up by 6:30.
oh, okay, great. Then
No, we'll have a Q&A, but if some of the members in between want to have, they can either chat or note down, then we'll have a separate Q&A.
definitely, sir. So by 6 o'clock, we'll ask the members to post the queries on these things
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
on the chat box.
SA 299 is the responsibility of joint auditors. This was very common at some point of time. I remember during my articleship days, which I did in Chennai, we used to do a lot of audits in Bangalore where joint auditors were there. I did with a firm called Verma and Verma, which has now got an office in Hyderabad and in Mumbai also. So I did that Chennai office. So the Kerala auditors from their Chennai or Bangalore offices used to come, and then me included, and then somebody from Chennai or Hyderabad would come, and joint audits used to happen. Lot of discussions have to happen, overlaps have to be avoided, understanding has to be clear, and allocation has to be documented. That's very important. Oh my God, congratulations, Chairman. You have scored a century. I'm seeing that 109 participants. I'm also honored.
Sir, actually, I'm a bit ashamed, sir. It is 201 registrations are there. Because of some technical reasons and all these things are there, people are not able to participate in those things.
No, 109 is a very good number. Congratulations. And 201 and 109, but in Zoom meetings they cannot come sign and go, no, as we used to do for physical meetings.
Having technical problems, so that they are going out, and then
connectivity may be also a problem. Remote locations. I think all of us should essentially work on. I think Reliance Jio is getting so much of investment, and they have laid down the network and backbone of the infrastructure. I think network, but Andhra, I'm told that generally Andhra Pradesh has got very good connectivity. So yes, otherwise we should enhance and then try to do something about it.
Thanks to Jio, sir. Really, these things are happened even in spite of COVID, only because of Jio, sir. Because a lot of internet connectivity is there, sir.
Sir, GSR is becoming CSR also. So many activities, blood donation, tree planting, whatnots. So I think GSR has to be renamed as CSR.
Yeah, of course. It is.
We call PSR. I heard Manoharan sir once saying professional social responsibility is also there. Why only corporates? Professional social responsibility. In that, one is, as we are discussing now, being ethically correct, doing the right things, and of course, complying with standards, discharging this. Plus, we hold out to the public. We have to help the people in bringing up the children of children, in the sense that I always say our offices are a different form of the Gurukul system, Gurukulam, where the kids used to go stay with the Pandit or the Guruji, stay with him, help him in household work, wash his clothes, that we are not making them do now, paying them a decent stipend, providing them a healthy working environment. All those things are very, very important. Leveraging on technology, communication skills development, all that is very good. So extremely happy that branch is doing a lot of things. CA Day, I think series of programs are lined up. Yes, once again, happy to be see that Vijayawada, very, very active branch. So my kudos once again. So that is about joint audit. And the question is, should the joint auditors give the same kind of opinion? If, for example, GSR is giving a clean report, or I am giving a clean report, does that mean GSR should also give a clean report? No, it's not required. We can have, if we are not agreeing on, different reports can be given. The company will be then duty bound to have both the reports filed with the ROC and the regulators. But then by and large in a joint audit, we try to arrive at a consensus, edge out the differences, getting a lot more of information and explanations from the management in the letter of representation. We will come to that. That's a very important standard which is neglected, SA 580. We have not reached there. So that is joint audit. SA 300 is planning the audit of financial statements. Planning the audit of financial statements is 1 minute, sir, 1 minute. I'll just mute for a minute. Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So the 300 is planning. So planning. Well planned is half done. Well planned is half done. We have to plan an audit, larger audits. We are not, when we are discussing standards and auditing, we have to elevate our thinking. We are not talking about a small private limited company or a small partnership firm. Slightly larger audit. Let's elevate our thinking to that. So where a planning has to be done, what is the time frame? Who are the people who put in the audit? What are the thrust areas? We know that there are certain weak areas, or a company has started a new line of business. All those things are there. So planning, now this COVID situation, what has happened, whether the raw material and materials have become obsolete. Unfortunate incident happened in Vizag, no, when the factory was opened, some of the inflammable materials, there was a chemical reaction and we lost some lives in Vizag. So such things can happen. So for example, pharma, if you have pharma, then many of the would have gone outdated or expired. Obsolescence would have happened, deterioration in physical quality, quantity also would have, evaporation would have happened. So all those things are there. Planning, it should be in the back of, we should put a lot of thinking into the process, then have an audit planning memorandum. Audit APM, we call it in our office, audit planning memorandum. It's a 2-pager. But then what is most important in planning is that all of us must have an audit program for large audits. But government audit, whether it is a public sector, private sector, large audits, we should have an audit program. So if we are taking an action point, if this session is taken seriously, for every standard, I would say action point. SA 200 will say that, yes, I will do audits in accordance with, I will do audits in accordance with standards and auditing. That is the fresh resolve I am going to change, or a cultural change I am going to bring out at the workplace. SA 230 document, SA 210. I will not start an audit without getting a letter of engagement. LOE, if you require the format, it is an appendix 2. As an appendix to SA 210, you have the letter of engagement. Or I can, you don't have to reinvent the wheel if it's in PDF. I can send one to the branch. SA 230 documentation. I will document the work properly. I'll have a permanent file and a main file. Though the new standard does not require that, but then it's a good practice. All papers not indexed, junky papers lying in there, not indexed. No, even for reference, it becomes very difficult. So these are the action points. So SA 300, the action point is, let me have an audit planning memorandum. Let me have an audit program. Just go Google up and see. You will see large number of audit program formats. I will be touching upon the important aspects, because when you work on a human plan, something will be left out. And that is not what is very important. When a peer review comes, when a DC proceedings come, when we say that, can I have a look at your audit program? Some of us might be shocked. Oh, do you need an audit program to do an audit? I don't have one, sir. Sorry. Then suddenly your marks are reduced. The possibility of you coming out scot-free is less or reduced. So audit program is mandatory, sir. Audit, all these standards and auditing are mandatory. So accounting, auditing standard 300, planning, which basically talks about plan and audit properly before you start the execution. The audit planning memorandum and audit program stems out of SA 300. Sir, SA 315, identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. I'm having a mild throat problem, so please bear with me. I'm sipping a black tea, so I'm having a throat problem. Please excuse me for that. Identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. Sir, we used to have a standard called IAS 20 called knowledge of business. The standard says that the auditor's knowledge of the business should be as good as that of the businessman, if not more. Understanding the business dynamics. Say again, talking about audit program. Let's say we make an audit program for a manufacturing company in Vijayawada. And then do you think that we can use the same audit program for a stockbroking company or a financial services company? Our team was, my team was there in Hyderabad just before the lockdown, doing the audit of the Muthoot Group, one of the companies which is Hyderabad based. So if you take a manufacturing company audit program to a financial services company, you're totally out of focus. And I think the audit can be completed very fast because most of the points you find in the manufacturing company audit program will not be relevant. So students will put NA and come back. Not applicable and come back. So understanding the business, its environment is very important. The auditor should have entity-specific knowledge, industry-specific knowledge, and also about the environment. Today, again, COVID has thrown up a lot of challenges. Even going concern is a big concern. Some of the units which have been closed in tourism, in food industry, some of them, not in the food industry, restaurants, chain of restaurants, eateries, may not be able to come back. Some of them would have lost the market. Some of them may come back limping because they have no technology. I've made an evaluation of how the COVID has impacted our clients. We have about 120, 125 corporate clients, some of them big, some of them small. And see, many of them, we have an edutech company, they haven't had any problem. And we could do the audit online without any limitation or a feeling that, oh, this is not there, or the physical touch feel is not there. Even the vouchers are approved and scanned and attached. They are in QuickBooks, QB. My team did it in less than a week's time with the same comfort of a physical audit, sitting there, flipping through vouchers, opening the file, closing it, and seeing all the physical vouchers. So technology has become a driver today. Technology has become a savior today, because without technology, we are not going to move forward. And e-learning also. Today, many of the institutes programs, Central Council members tell us that the deliberations on Zoom meetings are substantially more effective than, because we have no distraction. Like I'm seeing 112 now, very actively hooked on here. So 114 now, it's still counting. So this is very important. And based on that knowledge only, that fresh knowledge, they would have started a new line of business. A housing finance company, for example, would have amended their objects and got into vehicle finance. What are the new controls which are required? A title deed versus an RC book. A duplicate copy of a duplicate of the key if you are retaining it, if the processes require that. I'm giving simple examples. So all that's very important. SA 315 is a very, very important standard, and only based on good knowledge. So in our audit program, we have a head called prepare a general note on the business of the company. In page 1, in the introductory part, preparatory part of the audit program, the student and the partner, if it's a new client, we'll discuss at length with them. How is it done? What are the business processes? What is the business model? What are the dynamics? What are the risks involved? What are the checkpoints, controls? All those things. That is SA 315. And in that assessment also, this is the control evaluation also happens here. The findings will have to be communicated. So now we come to the series of 500 audit evidence. SA 200, which we said, that's a takeoff standard, where the standard says that the auditor has to give an opinion on the financial statements. And what do you need to give an opinion, to form an opinion about financial information or about a person? You need evidence. Sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, if somebody asked about an opinion about a boy or a girl, you would say that he was with us for 3 years, did his articles. Sometimes he'll say, during those 3 years, we found him to be very good, he's a good boy or a good girl. So but this clause is very important. He was with us for his entire life, for his past, before he joined us, and after he left us, we cannot opine. So he was here from such and such period. And saying that, like they say, the period on which you are reporting should be identified, financial statements. Then he'll say during that period. Sometimes he would say he's a heavy smoker. He's a heavy smoker, therefore, except for that, it's okay. Bernard Shaw famously said, if some of you are smokers not able to quit smoking, which I did a few years back, Bernard Shaw famously said, it is so easy to stop smoking. I have done it so many times. So that's a qualified opinion. Sometimes we say, sir, no, Venda, it's not required. You're not a good boy, leave it. He is not ideal for your daughter. Then it is a question of, then he would ask, why? because any qualification or any adverse remark has to be substantiated with reasons. For that, we need evidence. We need evidence. This boy was found to fault within a financial irregularity. He was having an affair, for example, all those things, in a personal opinion when we give it. Same is the case with financial statements. And sometimes we also wash our hands. That is a disclaimer. Sir, about that boy, please don't ask me an opinion. It will not be proper. I'll not like to opine about that boy. Ask somebody else. Same in financial statement, we say that we are disclaiming. So all that we require audit evidence. What evidence? Sufficient, appropriate evidence. Sufficient talks about the quantity. Appropriate talks about the relevance and quality of the audit evidence. It is not that we have 3 thick files of evidence. Is it relevant? Is it really enough to substantiate the assertions you have made on the financial statements? That's very important. Continuing, sir, as an extension of SA 500 is 501, audit evidence additional consideration for specific items. In today's communication from this multinational firm to me, today's communication at 1:30 it came, it highlights the framework, audit evidence, SA 501, audit evidence additional consideration for specific items, which requires the auditor to physically supervise, oversee. He doesn't have to do the weighing and counting. Weighing and counting, he has to physically be there. If he's not able to do, send somebody sensible from his team. Make sure that a physical verification process actually happened and it is documented. It is then the physical quantities are compared with the book quantities. We have a specific reporting requirement in Caro. Are we doing it? Even in large audits, we take things for granted. We may not even have a signed stock statement. And today, in some of the companies where the SAP is there, the closing stock can be related, because in a tally and all that, the closing stock will not find a place in the trial balance. In SAP, you can get it in the record. So the summary stock information, the value which we get in there should be related to the financial statements, financial records, underlying records. So audit evidence, the 501 deals with 3 items. One is physical verification, where physical presence of the auditor or his representative is expected, where the volume of stock, value of stock is substantial. Number of items are huge, multiple locations, and get all the relevant evidence. And today, as in this year, March 31st, we could not do physical verification because we were all locked down. At the end of this presentation, we'll touch upon those COVID publications of the institute. My dear colleagues, let me tell you, a lot of work is being done by the institute. There is no dearth of information. There's no dearth of guidance. The only thing is, we are not referring enough. We are not reading enough. I'm very sad that many of my younger colleagues are wasting so much time on social media. Troll after troll. I'm not preaching here, but let me tell you, I'm not on social media. I still do not have a Facebook account and I do not use WhatsApp. Except that for the regional conference, we took one number and my partner used it on my behalf for publicizing the conference. Just that. And immediately after that, that number was surrendered. Sir, it is taking away a lot of our time. Social media. I think we all should cut short on social media, do some good reading of the institute publications, and that is the way we reciprocate the good work being done at Delhi or wherever. Some of us are also contributing to exposure drafts and peer review. All those things are there. So we should gear up. So this is about the stock verification. The second aspect is segment reporting. AS 17, there is a reporting of segment reporting. Business segments and geographical segments identifiable are there. You have to do a segment reporting. Whether that segmental information presented, disclosed is proper. The auditor should go further deep dives, SA 501. And thirdly, I mentioned litigation, cases, legal cases and issues pending against the company. All those things have to be. So SA 501 is expounded, or rather an extension, a logical extension of SA 500. We're asking the auditor to do more, even more. Okay. And 505 external confirmations. All of us know what happened in Satya. Are we getting external confirmations from the client circularization? Debtors confirmations, creditors confirmations, advances confirmation, bank confirmation, and confirmations not just balances. Three types of confirmations are there. One is balances, bank balance. When you see that a client has purchased the landed property, mobile property, there's a for 2 crores. 2 crores is a small amount for Andhra Pradesh, I think. Say 20 crores, and you see a debit in the ledger account of land with all the registration charges, stamp duty, all that, and 20 crores is 22 crores, 10% added to that. So you naturally you would ask for the sale deed or the title deed. And what's the standard explanation? Sir, we have taken a term loan and this is given as collateral. It is with my banker. Are we asking for a confirmation from the banker saying that the original of the document bearing such and such survey number is kept with us as security for loan getting given to the company? This is the perfect theory, which is the textbook case of an audit. And there's nothing impractical in asking for a bank confirmation. Banks would give. But today we are reluctant. We are taking things so casually. We are thinking that why should we put the client to so much of difficulty? We have to get this done, sir. External confirmations are very, very important. And even with that, if you're not getting 100%, in the notes on accounts, we make them say that they are subject to reconciliation. And if there are huge things, sometimes it becomes emphasis of matter paragraph. I remember in the Federal Bank, which is a listed, Federal Bank is a Kerala bank, in 3 years back, one of the leading firms had given an emphasis matter on some of the recoverability of some of the loans and advances, not the advances given by the bank, certain other loans which advances they had given to some other party, not the typical advances or loans given by the bank. So it was running in a few crores of rupees and it became emphasis of matter paragraph. 510, I did mention initial audit engagements, opening balances. It is not just bringing up from the previous auditors groupings or schedules, not checking it, ticking it here and there, the junior doing it, whether those balances are maintainable. Huge amount of receivables, big quantity or a big value of opening stock. Immobile property, landed property, building, where are the title documents? Are they maintainable? Are they freehold? If encumbrances are there, are they properly disclosed? So opening balances, I would say that the process accuracy of making sure that the correct figures are brought forward, plus those balances are maintainable. That's a starting point. Because 10 years it was audited by a firm A. Now this year we are doing audit. SA 520, I did mention analytical procedures. Sir, after the financial statements are drawn up, vouching is done, all those routine checkings are done. Then we have to see whether the ratios are matching, whether the trend analysis is proper. We had a case a few years back where rubber-based industry in Kerala, rubber-based industry, where the price of natural rubber, which forms about 65 to 70% of their entire raw material cost, rubber price was lying low, completely lying low during the year. So what should happen to the GP? The GP should go up. But the GP had come down when we did that analysis, and then we started asking questions. It was a listed company. We started out of asking questions, and finally it came out that there was a deliberate mistake in the Excel calculation in the valuation of stock. Such things come out when you do analytical procedures. Today, they are essential part of any audit, larger audits, and the peer reviewer and the DC would surely ask you, have you done all this? Another standard which chairman made a passing reference to is audit sampling. How are we picking up the sampling? Here I have to confess, I've been talking about statistical methods. The key point is, let's say we have an audit and the audit period is 12 months. So if you're taking months, the universe, I'm using the sampling term now, the universe is 12 months. And we are going to say that we are going to do only 2 months of verification vouching. Which are those months? How do we pick it up? How do we ensure randomness? So the standard says, to the extent possible, we should use, it's not judgment sampling that should be used. Judgment sampling will become one of convenience, one of ease. Statistical sampling methods, including random number tables, which I'm not using, I'm confessing. But here we have a system of drawing lots. It's 12 months, this thing, we're drawing lots. And then out of the 12 months, we will decide. It is August and November. And if there is, for example, Kerala, we have the monsoons, we have the season. When it comes to the season and off season in a tourism industry, in a resort in Munnar, or you would have come Munnar or Tekadi or wherever. So we stratify between 1 month, 2 months from season and 1 month off season. Because off season also something can happen. Some go-ups can happen. So audit sampling has to be sensibly done. And the term they have used is, your selection process should be defensible. Matlab, if you are found fault with how have you selected the sample, is it just because you thought about it? Okay, chalo, you go do and last year which month between? Okay, you do November and March. That is not the way to do it. But then some kind of randomness has to be ensured in selecting the sample. It could be transactions. Transactions also. I was just giving one example. So many of the larger firms are also not using this, which I understood from my interaction. But I think some of us can start working on some random number tables based on that. Sampling can improve. 550 is about related party transactions. Related party transactions in the Indian context across the globe is creating a lot of havoc. You have a listed company and then you have 10 subsidiaries. What happened in Sahara? Sahara is said to have 500 private limited companies through which he siphoned out the funds. Many of the listed corporates have huge number of unlisted small private limited companies, partnership firms, even trusts through which they siphon out money from this. And after some time, the listed company becomes a skeleton and the other smaller private limited companies will put up a lot of weight, carry around and will become immensely rich. And this company may go to IBC and all that. So related party transactions, whichever angle you see, is seen with a lot of suspicion and disfavor. Companies Act, Section 188, related party transactions. 189 register. Recently, we found that in a listed group of companies, where listed companies, 3-4 listed companies are there, there's a qualified company secretary. 189 register is not maintained. Not in the sense that it is there, but nothing is updated. N number of related party transactions. We insisted that this has to be completed. Only after that we signed the balance sheet. And if you look at the standard, in addition to the 580 general written representation from the management, we are expected to get a separate letter of representation saying that, listing from the management saying that this is the complete list of related parties and we have not hidden or we have disclosed everything that they have to say. So 180 and 189, what is 48 to be under the Income Tax Act, related party transactions seen with so much of doubt, and if it's unreasonable, assessing officer is given the discretion to disallow payments and expenses. AS 18, Accounting Standard 18 asks us to complete disclosure in the financial statements. Where there is control, even if there are no transactions, if there is control, then that has to be disclosed. All those things. So related party is to be seen with. So make sure that all the related party transactions are captured and disclosed properly. 560 subsequent events. Sir, this is very relevant now. March 31st, we are all locked down. What has happened? Subsequent events to the balance sheet, because now we are starting the audit. Some of us are still not able to. About the exams, you know, there is a lot of inhibition about the exams, which is supposed to start on July 29th. So institute stand is that if one student wants to write, we will make it possible, but they have given an opt-out option. Since we have large number of members, opt-out option is student, though he has registered, he need not write. Exemptions will not be will not expire, or rather will not lapse. Fees will not have to be paid November 2020, they're opting out. So here in many places, Chennai is huge problem, I understand. Kerala and Cochin, we are kind of reasonably okay. Office is functional, but we are all taking social distancing, mask, the sanitizer is there. With all that we are taking care. But today, because not the economy has not become so. April, May, June, kind of many of the industries are not able to start. Many of the restaurants, resorts will started open, but they are not able to pull on because people are still scared to have coming and having a glass of water. Today, any touch we take any close, somebody coming close, we view it with suspicion, with some kind of a fear. One way it's good, but then today I think we are learning to live with COVID. It's a question of livelihood versus life. 3 months we spent on fearing life, but people are going mad. This continues for some more time. There could be violence because people, daily workers, the poorest of the poor are having the biggest problem. They're not having work. They're not having food. They're not able to get liquor. They're not able to get a lot of things which are basic needs for them. So with that, governments are now taking that kind of a stand where some kind of easing is required. Though we might lose some lives. So that's most of you know about it. I don't have to be very vocal. So subsequent events, the standard has become relevant. We have to see the inventories, the receivables, all those things, these developments. So even for chartered accountants, I always say, we are not billing properly. We are not collecting promptly. Some of the COVID lessons today is that every one of us should have at least 3 months of reserves. When lockdown came, our firm, we are 7 partners. We looked at each other and asked, do we have the reserves to pull on? Rent, of course, some waiver was there. Stipend was reduced a little bit. Salaries, March was fully paid. April, we paid 70%. Partners require drawings. All of us have EMIs, kids' education, all the things. Do we have the reserves? We said okay. Luckily, we had almost 2 months reserves. Then some collections were trickling in. But what is your receivables look like? Only 5% of the annual billing was in receivables. So prompt collection is very, very important, sir. So therefore, I've been very vocal about this. 3 COVID lessons, I would say: build up reserves, collect bill promptly, agree upon the billing right in the beginning. Today, again, with my friend, I said, this is going to be our fees. He said he'll get back. He hasn't got back yet, but surely he'll get back. Maybe he's going for cheap service, I don't know. But we have put a certain fee, which is the minimum. So, and then that is to be collected. Why do we give credit for a project report, a company incorporation? One-time assignments, no credit at all. We should not give. If we did not ask when the going was good, how do we think we can ask when they are closed down and they have no money? And people who are cash rich also today would pretend that they have no money. It is lockdown, it is COVID, they would say. There are very few clients who understand our problems. Of course, what we are trained for is a detached attachment with the client. Clients are sometimes friends. We spend evenings together, we travel together. Sometimes all those things are very, very missing. But then detached attachment is the right approach to auditor-client relationship. That was about the subsequent events. 580 is a very, very important standard because during the course of an audit, large and small, we ask a question: do you do physical verification? Yes, sir, we do it every month, sir, every month. That's a standard procedure. Who is doing it? Somebody, our finance manager will get it done with his boys. How many boys are there? How many girls are there? We do not know. Then we ask for the next thing is, do we have a report of the monthly stock verification? Can I have, you have done all the 12 months. Yes, sir, every month we do. 1 month report can you give? Sir, report is not there. Report we don't keep because they are physically counting. It's nonsense. What about internal audit? I've heard a lot of places. We have internal audit. Sometimes by an internal team, even by external chartered accountants, we ask for the internal audit report. They're not giving a report, it's only a discussion. Kya fayda? And internal audit report has to be replied. A response has to be given by the management. Otherwise, every month you'll have a 30-page report. So all these things, realizability of debtors, assets, loan liabilities, complete disclosure, all those things we have to get written representation. We call it LOR in our office, letter of representation. Management representation is commonly called. We call it LOR. Part of our audit program where we say that before signing, there's a checklist for the partner who's signing the balance sheet. Iske bina will not sign. Written representations LOR has to be obtained. Duly signed by if there's a director of finance, is director of finance in larger companies, otherwise at least at that level by the management, somebody from the management, not just an accountant. One more thing here, sir. The auditor, the first generation auditor, many of the seniors are with us, I hope. The first generation auditors are seen as pundits. Today, we, particularly with the GST all coming in, we are reducing ourselves to clerks. We do not interact with the management. The accountant is the last contact point. Essentially meet the board of directors, managing director, discuss points, give you a card. We can also give a brochure to your client, nothing, no problem. How many of you do you have a website? I think all of us should have a website. All of us should have. We have a website which has been revamped. You go to Manoharan Sir's website, mca.com, MCA, just MCA. It's not mca.gov, it's government. Manohar Chaudhary Associates. We are allowed today. Ethically, we are allowed. Not that we are outwardly advertising or reaching out, but that's good. And branding ourselves substantially better is important. Institute's website has been overhauled. I would like every one of you to go and visit ICA's website. Much more appealing now. So get written representations on all that is relevant, related party transactions, stock valuations, physical verification, realizability of debtors, list of bank accounts, and saying that we have completed, provided for all the liabilities and disclosed all the contingent liabilities. Please look at the format, then you will know how important it is for documentation and for our company. So from a passive mode, I think when we discuss standards, from a passive mode of doing audits, we should come to a very active mode. It's an honor and responsibility, and we hold out to the public and large number of stakeholders, multiplicity of them. That is the importance of SA 580. SA 610, Chairman, I think mentioned the internal auditor, the relationship between the external auditor and the internal auditor, interact, communicate, and to the extent the internal audit reports are leveled, the statutory auditor does not have to reinvent the wheel, go there in depth. And also today we have IFC, Internal Financial Controls Reporting for larger companies. There we need to comment on the internal control, and internal audit is a subset, a component of internal control. So therefore that evaluation is important, and internal auditors make it a healthy practice. In discussion with the management, always share a copy of the internal audit report with the statutory auditor or the external auditor. So now we have come to the reporting standards. SA 700 is about forming an opinion and reporting on financial statements. I have put it in a tabular form. SA 700 and the old one. Let's look at the revised one, the left-hand side of it. Title, addressee, opinion. Straight away it is going to the opinion. Jomon is a good boy, subject to or except for. The new terminology used is not subject to. If your qualification, the term used except for the matters specified in basis for qualified opinion report, etc., gives a true and fair view. Right away opinion, basis for opinion or qualified opinion, adverse opinion. Going concern. See, there's a separate paragraph, going concern. If it is not at stake, we don't have to reiterate that. But otherwise, going concern today in the wake of COVID, yes. Key audit matters. KAM is a new standard, SA 701. For the time being applicable only for listed companies, but it also says where the auditor feels that such a highlight of a key audit matter is really warranted, KAM will also apply SA 701. KAM is different from emphasis of matter. KAM is you have come across something during the audit which you feel that is something which is not very, you're not very comfortable with or ideal to be in a situation like this. So you discuss with the management, raise this point very loudly, and then the management has finally given a certain comfort saying that this is how it is, not a blind comfort, based on evidences, based on explanations, based on subsequent developments, it feels that yes, then the auditor drops it, then it is highlighted. If you have the habit of seeing listed company annual reports, all these bigger firms are given it in a columnar form. Key audit matter, auditor's response. And management responsibility, auditor's responsibility, which is there. Other reporting responsibilities like 143.12 for all those things, CARO, all that's come there. Signature, date, place and date. And what is missing here, sir? Can somebody respond?
You didn't, sir.
Perfect, sir. Kishore, sir. Perfect. UDIN is missing. I purposely did not put it. I wanted to ask and get some response. See, UDIN is a wonderful initiative. It insulates us from dubious operators. I think all of us should largely disconnect with all these STPs and ITPs. They are non-professionals. Chartered accountants should not associate with them. In our office, is a complete no entry for those fellows. They bring the accounts. Some of the firms I told that they do not let the auditor know the client. briefcase mein leke aayega. I think we should stop all those practices. And UDIN is today, we are saying that it is OTP based, and UDIN is your identity, making sure that it is if it is Kishore sir, if it's Jomon, it says yes sir, it is me who signed, or it's me who have signed. Many of these fellows carry the stamp and seal of chartered accounts. Signature is very easy. So UDIN is very important, and make sure that your office does not print out an auditor's report on the border sheet of the firm. Before that, make sure that the UDIN is generated. And there is a system tracking of it, but still also have a track of the UDIN generated in an Excel format. Not really required, but still. This is the auditor's report, which has got the new format of the auditor's report is given as an appendix to SS 700. Oh, sorry, that comes later. Key audit matters, I did mention SS 701. For the time being, the 1920 only listed companies, and where it is really warranted. 705 tells us how to qualify. The term that uses modification to the opinion in the independent auditor's report. How to qualify, how to issue an adverse opinion, how to give a disclaimer. Situations where you have to do that. I think all of us are familiar. So talk about except for, as I mentioned earlier, in the case of the boy, except for that he's a smoker, otherwise he's found to be okay. Then you say that except for that he is a smoker, he is heavy drinking, he's a womanizer, he has no focus on work, except is going in long list, then you would say it becomes an adverse. It's a surgery, no, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So any adverse opinion, any qualified opinion, any disclaimer has to be, must be associated with the reason for that. You cannot just say that XYZ is not a good boy, or you cannot say that this company's financial statements does not give a true and fair view. Because for the following reason, that is why they have a new paragraph called basis for qualified opinion inside the main body of the auditor's report. 706 is emphasis of matter paragraph and other matter paragraph in the auditor's report. Emphasis of matter is something less than a qualification. Something requires to be highlighted for the information of the users, etc. Yes, that is SS 706. That brings us to the COVID-related pronouncements of ICAI. Accounting and Auditing Advisory, Impact of Coronavirus on Financial Reporting and Auditors Consideration, came on 27th March, immediately after all this lockdown happened. So our council and the committee, AISB, was working online actively, and then they brought out this publication. It's a bulky publication. One has to run through it and then understand this thing. Some of the points I have highlighted in the next few slides. Going concern, we did mention it is a major concern whether organizations are able to pull on. If they're not able to, if they are closing down lock, stock and barrel, then even fixed assets may have to be written down. Loans may have to be written back to the extent they're not to be paid. All those things will have to be one-time settlements will have to be looked into. Fixed assets may have to be valued at realizable value. Again, are we able to sell removable property now? Very difficult. The whole charm of real estate has taken a major backseat and a major beating. Many of the properties, malls and huge commercial properties, constructions have been put on hold. Whether there will be takers. When will normalcy resume? So concerns are there. But I am an optimist, an undying optimist, where I would say that some of the medicines have been kind of Glenmark today. Yesterday, you know what happened in the capital market. Glenmark share price went up by 40% with the announcement that they have come out, kind of reached a medicine, not a vaccine, medicine for COVID. So vaccines would come and normalcy would come. People would like to live a normal life. But again, this kind of trend having settled in, many of the activities which used to be there, particularly real estate, tourism will take some more time to bounce back. Everyone wants to travel, but then where to go? How safe that place is? Has the room been sterilized? Is the water potable and drinkable? Can I safely touch or sleep there or use the cutlery which they are giving? All these things are there. So going concern is there, and physical inventory verification, key audit considerations in COVID-19. 13.5. What they're saying is, April was locked down, May was very little activity. So if you're doing the audit now, or a little later. Post March 31st, much of activity would not have happened. So take a physical stock now and then relate it back to the 31st March position. If there are records and things like that, that is the crux of that particular publication. Chairman, sir, I can send this mail across this presentation to the branch, which you can share with the participants and the branch members.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. So which some of them are missed out, or I mean, in short time, very difficult to grasp so much. But I thought these are very, very important, and so we will share that, and you can share with the members.
Thank you, sir.
Auditors reporting key audit considerations amid COVID-19. Same thing. All these points are going concern. That is what is discussed in there. Subsequent events, we did mention key audit considerations. Debtors would have gone bankrupt. Stock would have become obsolete or not usable. Perishable commodities, food products, agro products, all of them would have probably become due to contact kept in the open. Short cycle production items probably would have become completely unusable. All those things have to be contained in there. So quickly on the crux of the standard, potential issues for entities, particularly entities that operate in geographies that are significantly affected. But I think most of the geographies, whether it's Andhra Pradesh or Kerala or Telangana or Karnataka, doesn't make a difference. Most of the geographies have been affected, but except the real rural life would not have been affected much because there is no social crowding. So agriculturists and farmers probably would not have been much affected, except that but then the farm sector, I don't know whether you have seen, the farm sector has actually farm produce, because the essentials consumptions have not gone down. In spite of lockdown, all of us have been buying provisions, vegetables, fruits, fish, meat, all those things. So on the farming sector, in fact, it has got a boost now, and the forthcoming crop is also good. So agri sector, farm sector, which is contributing only 18% to the GDP of the country, is going to be a savior now. If at all there is going to be some kind of a positive growth in the GDP, it's going to be out of that 18%. That is what we understand from what the media reports. So then what happens to the supplier vendors, bankers, suppliers, service providers who have been affected? Whether that is going to be a major problem, one has to really evaluate subjectively, evaluate what has happened. Additional risks arising from the following areas. Operational disruption. See, we have not been able to operate. So in any changes to the business model, drop in demand, resorts, tourism altogether, if you see. Luxury products. Can I ask you something? Has anyone of you bought a Louis Philippe or a premium brand Van Heusen in the last 1 month? I don't think so. April, in the month of April, India did not sell any luxury car. Today, Kerala has got a new school, which is there in the Middle East. I don't know whether you have heard of GEMS Education. GEMS Education of the working group. Today on FM radio, they're advertising that, hey, look here, we have no admission fee, we have no donation from LKG to grade 3. Just pay the tuition fee and bring your kid. Or bring your kid or admit the kid, we will teach you. The school will come to your house. They're advertising. Business models have to change. One, survival is very important. Cards are being sold, no down payment. First EMI will start only after 300. Maruti Suzuki says your EMI is as low as 900 rupees a month. So these are things which people are using, changing business models. Customer base has gone down. Employee absence today, one more thing is the migrant labor. Kerala, we have large number of, migrant labor from Odisha, Bengal, Bihar, all those places. Many of them have gone back. Today, if the economic activity really gains space, whether we'll have sufficient number of people to execute projects is a big question. So all those have to be there. Public lockdown, all those things they're talking about. Contractual non-compliance. Now, when we draft agreements, we have something called a force majeure agreement, force majeure clause, act of God, floods, tsunami, fire. I think COVID is also act of God. Some people say it's act of China. Don't quote me, but act of God. So non-compliance, what are the consequences? If non-force majeure applies, then no damages. Liquidity and working capital issues, huge working capital issues. All of them are having working capital issues. Revenue is zero, but major expense, the basic expense have to be paid. We have added, those who came for the regional conference would know, the Grand Hyatt Lulu International Convention Center is not having any activity from, let's say, March 18th, March, April, May, June, 3 months ho gaya abhi. They were getting bookings 25 days a month. And our booking, we got it with so much of influence that November conference. But they have to have the basic maintenance, basic people, maintenance people, housekeeping people, some of the managers there, technical people. Huge problem. And if it is a debt funds, it is a borrowed funds, your interest will accumulate. Moratorium is just a deferral, no waiver as of now. So that is their assets valuations. Asset valuations, real estate, your inventory. You have a client in Vijayawada who has 100 unsold flats. How would you value inventory? At costs, realizable value, how much is it a square feet? How much would have gone down? Dubai, a friend of mine bought a villa in Dubai as a chartered accountant for I think INR 27 crores. It's a Shobha property. The value of that today, if Shobha might be selling the same property for almost half of that. So if that is part of the inventory, how do you write down? Assess and revise materiality levels. Auditor should also discuss with those charged with governance, the management the impact of COVID-19. Naturally, yes. How is it affected? They might try to paint a rosy picture, but we know the reality is slightly different. The hard reality is paining, difficult. So going forward, we have entered a dark tunnel. You and I, even God Almighty, with all the prayers which we do every day, do not know how dark the tunnel is, how long the tunnel is. When will we see the light of hope and optimism? So that's very important. So which we have to discuss with the management. And there again, professional skepticism, I did mention, stands amplified. Accounting issues, impairment of goodwill, property, plant and equipment, receivables, loans. Valuation of defined benefit plans, employee strength, devaluation of plan assets. Plan assets is, take for example, LIC, group gratuity scheme investments. The sinking fund which the gratuity funds create, invested in capital markets, took a major beating. 31st March valuations would be substantially less. Market is slowly bouncing back now. You know, there is a rally in the capital market now with optimism of things getting back to normalcy. Let that continue. But realistic valuations. Today, many of the business valuations, whether it's a Flipkart, whether it's an Uber, all these valuations are overdue for a revaluation accordingly. I do business valuations, and which are, of course, there is a limit to stretching. Today, new unheard of formulas are being used to do business valuations, and there are takers. Low cost capital sitting in the West and Japan, like SoftBank and all that, is creating havoc in the markets. Unrealistic valuations. All those valuations today will have to be revalued in the wake of this happen. So employee termination benefits, some of them are being retrenched. They have completed the required number of years of service. Yes, they have to be compensated. Onerous contracts and penalties. Again, force majeure has to be seen in the light of this. Auditors should use procedures as prescribed in SA 540. 540 is audit of accounting estimates, useful life of assets, realizability of debtors, all based on accounting. We have a lot of estimations. Accounting is not an absolute science. It is accepted, but the maintainability or sustainability of the estimates have to be seen in the light of COVID. Physical verification, I did mention, other than financial statements date, not attended. How to do that is do it now, at least now, and relate back to the subsequent events going concern. Yes, I think we have covered all this. Risk of fraud, even during this time, during these difficult times, there are fraudsters. So therefore, that is very important to make sure that SA 240 is compliant with get return appreciations on all those things which are very, very important. Here, the going concern, there is an implementation guide to the SA 570 on going concern. Whether there's difficulty, what are the difficulty? Are they coming to a real grinding halt? Is going forward so difficult, impossible, very uncertain? Yes, then going concern is triggered. The concern of going concern is triggered. One has to be careful. Auditor would need to comply with the procedures given in paragraph 7 of SA 501, which also talks about, if not possible to perform alternate audit procedures to obtain evidence, auditor should modify his opinion. Means that if you're not able to get in the wake of COVID, qualified opinion has to be qualified. We cannot give a clean report. Whether the impact of the business operations, cash flows on the entity for the year, fair valuations, etc. have been assessed by the management. Events occurring subsequent to the year end but before issuance of the auditor's report have been considered. These are all key audit considerations. This is the crux of the 6 publications which are COVID related. We'll skip that. So, colleagues, in the time, I think we have covered almost all the important practice-based standards. So, as we go forward, let us have more of optimism. But quickly on, as we conclude, 2 more minutes on some certain things which are little general. We are now clear that we have to substantially be better leveraged on technology. COVID has taught us that lesson. Office infrastructure also let us try to improve. Let us have a good team of people, well-meaning firms. Growth is still on your agenda. If growth is still on our agenda, I think we should have good people, young partners. I have been able to admit 4 of my students are my partners. So we are working as a team, thank God, touch wood, as a team, and they are committed in one areas, different vertical specialization, good processes. And as I mentioned earlier, bill sufficiently, inform in advance, bill promptly and collect it, very important. Do a lot of financial planning. The planning which we discuss for firms are important for people also, individuals also, every one of us. Term insurance, medical insurance, all that is very, very important. Attitudinal change what is required, attire properly and cut down on social media. I did mention, particularly to my younger colleagues, don't get lost in trivial matters. As Tim Cook famously said, your impact on humanity is not measured in the likes you get, but in the lives you touch. Not in popularity, but in the people you serve. I was introduced as a Rotarian, so that's the spirit of Rotary, being socially relevant. And sitting close to in these days, we are burning social capital, as Satya Nadella famously said. Our offices should become more student-friendly, my dear colleagues. Develop an academic culture, give them leave for exams, pay decent stipend, create a healthy working environment, good washrooms, hygiene, all that's very important. End of the day, when we go back home, we should be smiling, we should be leaving a happy organization. And that is also, do not take office troubles to house and domestic troubles to office. You know what happens. I am also married for 22 years. So with that, we say that we need to change. Robin Sharma famously said, all change is very hard at first, messy in the middle, but so beautiful, so gorgeous at the end. I'm a great fan. I read a lot of Robin Sharma, inspirational reading. With that, let me conclude with a lot of gratitude to every one of you. Today, I think the number 114, still all of us are glued together. Thanks to the technology, thanks to Zoom or Google or Blue Jeans. We had a regional council, adjourned regional council meeting this morning. Chairman DC Jain was in command. And we could very effectively deliberate on the final accounts approval. There was a change which was required. So the meeting, which was originally held a week back, got adjourned and we could finish it in about 1.5 hours. Except one who had some difficulty, all the regional council members and 3 CCMs were present. I should also thank CMP Vijay Kumar for referring my name along with Chinnasamy Ganeshan on referring me to Vijayawada for discussing the intricacies, the key aspects of standards and auditing. Very relevant as we stand at the threshold of the new audit season. 1920 audit season has just opened up. So let us make a fresh resolve, a new promise that we will do audits in a better fashion in compliance with standards. If that happens, the purpose of the meeting is accomplished, and my efforts are also rewarded. Thank you so much. God bless every one of you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your extempore lecture on the standards and auditing. Apart from that, we got the bonus of listening to the value addition about the how to we do the audit in this critical situations. Critical situation. Now that I request because the funda that what we are following is the path that is laid by more than 9 past chairmen are present in the this thing in the today's lecture, sir. That is the values that what we are following, and the
Yes.
same thing continue. Really, I think I'll name those past chairmen who are present in the this today's thing. That Parchuri Lakshmana Garu and Lingamurti Garu, Durga Prasad Garu, and Amar Sudhir Garu, Gangadhar Garu, C.T. Chaudhary Garu, Nagavali Garu, and your chairman Nagavali Garu is also there, and Shobna Dishra Garu and S.P. Jain. Ma'am, if you can able to open your video, sir will view you. Thank you. So
nice to have mentioned the names of the past chairmen, because they are very special for any branch, because those are the people, all the Garus have given a lot of their professional time, personal time, family time. And today Vijayawada branch is fully equipped and growing from strength to strength, and it's because it's a great center of learning, a large number of students. Yes, it is the efforts of all the past chairmen. I salute every one of you. Some of you would be senior to me. I'm complimenting your efforts. God bless you. And the profession will remember. Every member, every student of Vijayawada branch will surely remember for the good work you have done in the yesteryears years in the service of the profession, which is bonding us together so much. Thank you so much for referring their names. It's so nice on the part of GSR sir to have done that. My big salute to every one of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I forgot to mention Shobna Dishragar and S.P. Jain also, and they're also in the these things, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Amar Sudhir, this side.
So, sir, is Amar Sudhir, our past chairman.
Past chairman, sir.
Madam has chairman, come. Madam, how are you?
Your chairman, Nagavali ma'am.
But Madam is speaker. Madam is on. Okay, great. Yeah. Nice to see you, ma'am.
Yeah.
You have to unmute, madam. You have to unmute.
Madam, sir asked about thrice about yours, ma'am.
So last year during my chairmanship, you know, I always say I have 45 my chairman.
And I am lucky to have you chairman during my chairmanship.
Yes,
and I attended 2 times Kochi.
Yes, you are all of you are welcome to Kochi. After COVID, all of you are welcome to Kochi. God's own country.
Thank you very much, sir, for your hospitality at the Kochi orientation programs, and thank you to present paper for Vijayawada branch. I'm happy to see you and happy to hear you, sir, especially in auditing standards.
Thank you. Sorry.
Sir, there is some 2-3 questions are there, sir. Can you kindly...
Is it in the chat?
Yeah, it is in the chat, sir. Just I'll read it out for you, sir. In connection with the going concern, can we please elaborate what is the procedure to be followed to ensure particularly for this year? Because as you all know that because of the COVID, hospitality industry and the real estate and most of the startups have taken a beat, sir. So what is the thing that what we have to, actually you have referred so many points, even the institute circulars and all these things, but whether it is forming part of the notes forming part of the balance sheet or in the main balance sheet itself or main audit report itself, we have to qualify or we have to say the things. Just would like to know the things regarding this COVID, after COVID.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure. Very relevant point. There is no limit to discussing, because this year, I think in audit, large and small companies, except for the tech companies who are now going forward. There is only a reduction in the volume of their business. Some of them where the business has come to a complete halt. So going concern, if we talk about the basics, a going concern is an accounting assumption. Going concern, consistency and accrual are accounting assumptions. Accounting standard 1 says there is no need for a mention on going concern unless that is in doubt. Going concern, accrual and consistency are assumed to be in place, assumed to be okay if there is no doubt. But COVID has thrown up a situation where all of us are doubting going concern on many of our clients. As you said, startups, some of them could not take off at all. But startup is a different ecosystem. Only 10% of the startups survive and unleash value and go forward. That is official statistics. And that has been said by experts like Chris Govarash. But other entities where going concern is the issue is, what is the position of the business now? The indicators of going concern being in doubt is given in SF 570. SF 570, there is an implementation guide. So to the honorable member who has asked this question, that is a reference point, SF 570. But I would briefly explain on the key aspects of going concern becomes in doubt, particularly when an entity is, for whatever reason, one, deciding to stop a business or substantial reduction of volume in business. Two, it is forced to. For example, we have a client who is into laying of a particular pipeline. It is covering 3 states. One state's permission has not been obtained, not yet obtained. The process is on. So if finally it is said that that process is not possible, or that state is particularly possible, that state is between 2 states, Kerala and other state. The state is in between that particular state. So then the whole project has to be, going concern may not be a problem, downsized, because it can carry only up to the end of Kerala, till the border of Kerala. But if there is no dispensation point there, then the whole project has to be shelved. So going concern, this is because of a legal restriction or some kind of an environmental restriction, you are stopped. The other one is for business dynamics, business reasons. We are not able to get the volumes. You built up huge capacity and kind of come to a state where revenues are not being generated, mounting losses, and the defaults in bank loans, not able to pay creditors, liabilities are mounting. So all these are indicators of going concern being in doubt. Today, in the wake of COVID, what has happened is a lockdown game. All these things, take for example, see, I was just thinking the impact of single aviation industry. There are so many related services. Those who have been flying frequently, read the in-flight magazines. There is a printer who is specialized in printing in-flight magazines for, let's say, Indigo. Indigo has also incurred a loss, one of the best run airlines. You know the story of Air India and other things. So there, all those them have come to kind of a stop, whether there will be continuing orders, because everyone would go for cost reduction. Somebody who is hugely into manufacturing, advertising material. Each industry or each sector of the business has to be seen separately, seeing its impact on how it will, whether one is a complete stoppage. Two, even if it's substantial reduction of business, it will be limping for some time and it may hit the wall at some point of time. That is a point which we have to see, evaluated in the context of this industry-wise. We cannot standardize, or there is no fit-all formula for determining going concern. All these things, discussion with the management, our understanding through reading the newspaper, the social media, the net, based on that, we have to evaluate.
Sir, one more question is regarding this. In case of joint auditors, if one auditor will not agree to the other auditor's remarks, then how can we conclusion will be held?
Yes, sir, I did discuss that point when we discussed SA 299, 299, when we discussed that, said that both the auditors can give different opinions. They need not have to concur, but if it is possible, it's always better to discuss and edge out. Sometimes, what happens in joint auditors, ego issues come. Who is big? Kaun bada hai? You are just a small firm with 2 orders. My grandfather was a CA. My father, I am now a chartered accountant. this kind of unfortunate, sometimes that happens. So there, this has to be somehow edged out. But on technical matters, the size of the firm is not what. Whether we are right in from a perspective of a standard on auditing, from a regulatory perspective, whether we are in the right place, then yes, if you are convinced that you give your opinion, yours could be an adverse opinion, his could be either a clean opinion or a qualified opinion. You can even go for adverse. You don't have to essentially agree on that. SA 299 throws light on that particular question.
But there should be some statement for his opinion, no?
Sir, any opinion, I said, see, if you are saying that A is not a good boy or a girl, as I mentioned in the case of individuals, then I would ask why. Why do you say that? Why do you say that he is not an acceptable person? Similarly, with financial information also, we have to say that, except for this thing, because debtors are not confirmed, fixed deposit receipts could not be obtained, asset valuations have not been done, inventory has not been verified, XYZ reasons. Finally, we say that because of this, the financial statements does not give a true and fair view, or except for one or two issues, it gives a true and fair view.
Sir,
the point was, what our colleague asked was whether joint auditors have to essentially concur and give the same similar lines report. Answer is no. You can be differing based on, as Chairman rightly said, solid, maintainable reasons.
Sir, is it planning is common for all financial statements of all companies, irrespective of the public or private? Sir, can you enlighten risk with the practical difficulty? That's the question that.
Sir, I think I don't think planning there is. I don't think there's any practical difficulty in planning. It's like planning construction of a house, planning our daughter's wedding, similarly planning an audit.
Naturally.
So large and big, large or small, it depends, because the intensity of planning or the time taken for planning discussion. Planning is not sitting in the air-conditioned cabin of the auditor. He will go visit the premises of the client, gain knowledge about the business and say that what are the things which have to be done, what could be the weak areas, what could be the vulnerable areas where a business fraud can happen, where audit considerations have to be substantially more. Substantive procedures, more of vouching verifications required. Huge inventory, non-moving inventory. Yes, trust has to be given there. So you put some more thrust on inventory management, receivables, all those things, and cash transactions. Today, cash is so much of a curse. Cash transactions is so much of a curse. So huge cash transactions. What are the controls? Are they genuine or are they just book entries? Where is the source of cash? So all these audit planning, the extent of checking levels, the materiality levels have to be done. I don't think there's any practical difficulty. If at all there's difficulty, it is only in execution, not in planning. Government audit also, one more thing is, when we are planning, we have to keep in mind the additional C&AG point considerations. Specific reporting regulatory requirements, C&AG, because we are appointed by C&AG. So those points have to be kept in mind while planning, collecting information also.
So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Really taken much of your time, and it's now time to Ravikishore Garu to present a formal vote of thanks.
There's a practice of giving a virtual memento.
No, sir. It will be mailed to. I think it will be couriered to your house.
No. We are not supposed to. We are not supposed to take, except for the pleasantries which you offer when visit as chairman. Yes. People who are holding official posts of the institute, there is no system of memento. I was just joking. Somebody said I'll give you a virtual memento. Thank you so much. The fact that so many 115 of the members of Vijayawada and other places stayed glued to the presentation is the biggest memento, biggest reward. I think my time has been very effectively utilized. Thank you so much.
Mind you, sir, last FEMA classes, 6 days continuously we are organized, sir. And these 3 days continuously we are organizing.
Yes.
If you observe the Zoom attendance part, more than 115 minutes, almost 90% of the audience are hooked to the presentation, sir. That's really
great, sir. That shows a professional interest. That's the spirit we should go for. And FEMA, I think you should have more programs, because Andhra is going great guns with the foreign investment and things like that. So a lot of FEMA issues can come, and a lot of manufacturing. China, there's a shift to India. I think Andhra Pradesh, Kerala is not a manufacturing hub or major industries. I think the state will have a lot of new industries. Our profession should gear up and say that we can deliver. Every work doesn't have to go to the big four. We are also capable enough, we can demonstrate.
So we are organized 6 days continuously on FEMA, sir. A comprehensive course on FEMA we are organized, sir, by Sudha ma'am, Sudha G. Bhushan ma'am. That is one of the things that has been completed, sir. Now that, so over to Ravi Kishore, sir.
I'm getting a lot of response through the chat. One from Murli Krishna, is it Murli Krishna, sir? See Murli Krishna, sir, I don't know.
Yeah.
Simply irresistible, hence we stayed glued. Honored, sir, honored. Thank you. Always happy to be at your service.
Thank you. And also our Rajeshwar sir is also there. K. Rajeshwar, our past.
Right away, I'm sending the presentation to the Vijayawada branch. You can share with the...
Thank you, sir. And I will share the same to our two groups are there, sir. One annual registration membership group is there. And other is for exclusively for these 3 programs, some persons are registered, sir. I'll share those things too in those 2 groups, sir. Over to Ravi Kishore, sir, please.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir. Jaman sir, thank you very much. It's always nice to hear you. We, as on date, we owe you 2 bouquets and 2 mementos. And in the coming days, we want to owe you more. And we understand that you are at your office, and also apart from auditing standards, etc., we should also learn about the attire with which we have to go to office or visit the office. Today you're wearing suit. I think daily at your office, your attire is as such. We shall also learn that. If not suit, at least we should be neatly dressed and with a good attire we have to attend the office. And I appreciate that you are keeping up the decorum of our institute at its highest level. That is also one point which at least I have learned today. And your flow of words, use of vocabulary, etc., it is excellent, and everyone was very much into your presentation. That's fine. Thank you very much, sir. And post-COVID, we look forward that you visit Vijayawada, and also we will also show our hospitality more, even though not to the extent you have shown to us, but a little kind of like that. And thank you very much, sir. And also, I should appreciate all the participants who have joined us and who stayed till last. Thank you very much. And we shall meet in the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you, one and all.